Hey everybody, this is Perch. All right, so some of you can relate to this right away, but if you can, if it's possible, deal with me on the level here on this one a little bit. So, uh, I want to explain a little bit of kind of a behavior, at least in my comic shop. For the many years I was there, one of the behaviors that I always hated when I was a kid, when I was older, before I had a comic shop, is I always hated going into the shop and then having to sit through or deal with the shop owner being a sanctimonious prick and telling me what is good and what is not. And like I was interested in the X-Men, and invariably, you'd have a shop owner who's like, "Oh, you're buying that Marvel crap." You should, yeah, and just recommend whatever indie comics. What was ironic is I really enjoyed Zot, for example, the Tick comics. I enjoyed those comics, and so I'd have shop owners who'd like, if you really want comics, you should be reading, Faust or whatever it happened to be. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I do read those comics, and those comics are fun too, but I like the X-Men. It's like, oh, you like that Marvel baby crap? And I always said, as a comic shop owner, I never wanted to be that guy. I never wanted to be the stereotypical comic shop owner that would like, I'm going to just take this comic out of your hands. It's too shitty. I won't let you buy it. Like, I always found that really crappy. And I had that experience a couple times as a customer where I would go into a comic shop and the comic shop owner would be like, let me just take this comic right out of your hands. I'm not going to let you buy this. It's too shitty. I'm like, bro, you bought it. You dumbass. You bought it and put it in your store, and now you don't want to sell it to me. What, you just want to sit on the, like, what are you doing? It always felt very like, you try and understand this behavior. It felt very pretentious. It just like, this guy is a dick. That's always how it felt. As a shop owner, I always said, my attitude is if somebody asks me what I think of a comic, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say, this is what I think of it. If the person is like, I don't know, should I buy this Spider-Man comic? And I know that, that Spider-Man comic is bad, and the art is bait and switch. There's a really nice artist on the cover, but inside it's something crappy, and it's just a letdown of a comic. It's the John Cena Cody Rhodes WrestleMania match of comics. It's not a good one, and I would be honest if asked. I would just say like, yeah, this comic sucks. But if somebody's like, yeah, but I want to buy it, I'd be like, hey, then that's cool. Let me take your money. I was very money driven always as a shop owner. If you want to buy it, I'm not going to get in your way. And if you want something and I think it's absolute ass, but you don't ask for my opinion, then I mean, I'm going to keep my mouth shut because it's really none of my business. If you do ask, then I'm going to be honest. So you trust me, but still, if you want to buy it, you should buy it. And I'm going to be fair and balanced with you. This is before Fox News was a thing. I was like, that's my plan. So I always hated this behavior. But, you did run into these people. The other thing in the comic shop I'd have a lot is there'd be like customers who would hang out and just want to talk. And one of the things I was very sensitive to, and I would break up if it happened, is I didn't like comic customers standing next to the cash register and trying to outsmart, outwit, or just be better than other people who are trying to buy comics. This is where you get into arguments of like, I had this one guy, I finally had to say like, look, I want your money. I want your business for sure, but you can't harass the other customers. Because he was standing at the cash register like, oh, I see you're buying Daredevil, huh? Well, which comic was the first appearance of Bullseye then, huh? Like, if you're such a Daredevil expert, which was the first, what issue was the first appearance of Daredevil, and who was the inker on that issue? Oh, you don't know? I guess you're not a Daredevil fan then. You'd get those people. And if you spend any length of time on Twitter or Facebook, you've met those people. Those people are dicks. They're not, the I know more than you know bit is old and tiresome. And it's so old and tiresome that even like cartoons like The Simpsons make fun of those people. The Big Bang Theory makes fun of those people. The idea of like the nerdy, overbearing, I'm really, actually, Miss Marvel, she was originally Marvel Girl. I don't know if you know, and she had a skirt, and the skirt was a mini skirt, and there was actually panties underneath the skirt. And the skirt was yellow, but the panties were black. That stuck with the color scheme of the X-Men at the time. And she had a sister who died. That was much later in the run. That was largely a Claremont decision, but it was later picked up by Skylar Bell. That's how they were. Like you those people are insufferable. They're not fun to deal with, right? All right. So, so far, hopefully you're with me. Now here comes the plot twist where I'm gonna a lot of you are gonna disagree. This is where I'm gonna lose all of you. Uh, Several years ago, you had this phenomenon where you had, put differently, it's the fake geek girl was the term, but male or female, whatever it happens to be, um, the or no, I'm not gonna go there. You would have people who would say, "I've always been a comic fan. My favorite X-Men X." This is actually I'm saying it correctly. It wasn't Heather Antos. Maybe it was Alana Smith. I don't know. I used to chat with Alana Smith on a regular basis. Then one day I just said something that pissed her off, and she was done. But anyway, uh, it was I don't remember which one said it, but like actually, I've always been an X-Men fan. I've always been a fan of the X-Men. My favorite X-Men is Maggot and Morrow. Those are my favorite X-Men. And I always laugh at that because number one, the fastest way to tell somebody is not really an X-Men fan, or a fan of Claremont or any of those runs is if they list their favorite characters as Morrow and Maggot. Those are nobody's favorite X-Men. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say bullshit. There's a number of different, in particular, newer Marvel editors will regularly say Morrow is their favorite character. It is not. I mean, look, even if you were a diehard X-Men fan, there has not been enough development of that character to make any sense whatsoever. Not there, not later when she appeared in X Force during that was Cy Spurrier, I believe, that had her on the team. Like, just stop with that. It's just not. You're saying that because what you did is you went back in, yeah, fairly recent X Men runs, and you plucked out what feel like two relatively obscure characters, and you ran with it. It's the same thing with people like Stacy X is my favorite X Men character. It's like, look, Joe Casey created that character, and even she's not even his favorite character. Like, just stop with that. Um, but these people would these editors, these people who came into the scene around 2014, 15, 16. Sana Amanat would do this a lot. Like, hey, actually, my favorite Spider-Man storyline was the Hobgoblin saga. And it's like, okay, number one, I feel like if I, really sat you down and forced you to answer questions about it, you wouldn't know the answers to that. And to like you're saying this to pretend like you're part of the culture, like you're part of the community, that you've always been a comic book fan. You're saying it for legitimacy, but you don't actually know what you're talking about. And in this instance, yeah, I don't agree with the term, but correctly so. People would call these people the fake geek girl or fake geek guy, and it kind of came to its head with that stupid milkshake incident bullshit. And I've done videos on this. Please, if by the way, if you haven't listened to those videos and you don't take my take on it, don't assume you know my take on the stupid milkshake thing, because the milkshake thing was really that got blown every direction out of proportion on all fronts. Like there's a bunch of people who look like assholes, including a lot of the people in the milkshake crew, including a lot of people who are attacking those in the milkshake crew. Like if you really dig into that story, everybody looks like shit. That's and I have videos on this topic. This is not a angry toxic fans attack poor women who are just trying to celebrate a fallen friend of theirs. Like that was not the case either. The people were shitty about it. The fans are shitty about it. We're shitty people too. Like it's all crap. But anyway, I say all this. I give you all this lead up for this. A lot of people made fun of the fake geek girls. But in recent years, we have learned that a lot of the people who are doing YouTube videos, doing live streams, really kind of championing the cause of fake fans, also are fake fans who have no idea what they're talking about. Case in point, I posted something up as a community note recently of people talking about the Thunderbolts, and there's all these people who are like, MCU, they make woke movies, toxic movies. What even are the Thunderbolts? Oh, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. I've been a comic fan for 30 years. I've never even heard of the Thunderbolts. Okay, fuck you. You that is absolutely untrue. If you have been reading comics for 30 years, it is impossible for you not to know what the Thunderbolts are. The Thunderbolts had a pretty massive popular run back during the Heroes Reborn time. Mark Bagley on art. This was the Baron Zemo led Thunderbolts. We had the Thunderbolts come back again later in a couple different iterations. And then probably the next big run was what Warren Ellis, right, during the Dark Reign timeframe, where Norman Osborn was leading it. Then you had like a couple other versions. You had Luke Cage lead it for a while. You had several different Thunderbolts. You had the Jim Zub series recently. The Marvel completely forgot to promote. Anyway, there's been lots of Thunderbolts. So you cannot you are full of shit if you claim you're a comic fan and you spent time ridiculing the fake geek girls, and then you turn around and say, I don't know what the Thunderbolts is. By the way, this community post made matters worse by some guys like, you don't know what the Thunderbolts is? The Thunderbolts is a team of young superheroes, one of whom blew up in Stamford, which led to civil war. It's like, okay, bitch, that's the New Warriors. And it wasn't one of the New Warriors who blew up. Okay? That was a different character. There's a villain that they were fighting. They fucked up and the character blew up. The character later had to be hunted down by Wolverine in a Humberto Ramos, art-led series in the Wolverine title, which had by far the weirdest drawings of Wolverine we've seen in several decades. But anyway, my point in all this is, look, fair is fair. You cannot simultaneously attack fake woke fans and then turn around and prove that you know jack shit about comics. And I give you this entire story because as annoying as it was to have the guy in the comic shop, try and trivia test people who are trying to buy comics, that's somehow superior to the douchebag who is now sitting in the sidelines and claiming they have no idea what the fucking Thunderbolts is and they are a lifelong comic fan. If your argument is that the MCU doesn't adapt comic books faithfully and is a long-time comic book fan, you're offended by what Hollywood is doing in their woke agenda, you cannot then simultaneously prove you know absolutely nothing about comics. You just sound like an idiot. So I think, for me, get rid of all the posers out there. The editors for Marvel who would pretend they knew what the X-Men was by saying Maggot is my favorite X-Men character. The fake fans who attack the fake geek girls because they're caught up in the culture war, but know dick all about the culture they're fighting for. All of these people are terrible people. This is sometimes people come in here like, oh, here's Perch defending the comic editors again. No, I think they should vanish. Like, go, just disappear, go away. But take these fake fans with you. Fake geek girls, fake fans, people who thrive on attention and outrage. Who needs them? Right? I don't know. Right? One of you guys is going to be like, well, yeah, but I mean, at least a fake. No, don't try. Just don't. Can we all agree on one thing uniformly, whether you're part of SJW, anti-SJW, culture war, sick of the culture war, whatever it happens to be? Can we agree that vapid, unintelligent posers suck and they are ruining our community, whatever line they're on? Thanks for listening.